My name's Taylor Rowan, and this is Confident Risks. You don't need permission. Think about that for a second. Where are we going with this one? I don't know. Let's find out. I'm going to start this one off right off the bat with a story. I mean, you think about when you go to the circus. And I mean, back in the day, there's a lot of circuses that don't have animals now, but I can think back when I was a kid, which was a while ago. You'd go to the circus and all these elephants would be standing outside and they would be held by this single stake that's in the ground. They'd have a stake in the ground and this rope would be going up around their neck or it'd be tied onto their harness and they weren't moving. And you look at that and it's kind of odd because you're like, man, this is a very, very big animal. If that elephant really wanted to, they could just rip that stake out of the ground and they could start just doing whatever. They could be free if they wanted to be because no one's stopping them. But what that boils down to is this. The way an elephant thinks is the second they start to feel a little bit of tension on that line, they just stop. They give up. They don't do anything more because they felt a little bit of pressure. They felt a little bit of resistance that happened. So they just don't proceed anymore. That happens to all of us on a daily basis, yearly basis. You fill in the mark, but it happens to every single one of us. We start to feel a little bit of resistance and we give up. The reality is you don't need permission to succeed. We think about when we're growing up, we think about when we're living in our household, and we always have to get permission for everything we do. We go to school, we got to get permission. We are on an athletic team, we got to have permission. Always have to have permission. Then we get out on our own and we start doing the same thing to ourselves. Is we want to go do something, but we think about, man, that's a little bit outside of what I know, and then we don't do it. You don't need permission. I'm going to say that a lot this time. Just go and do what you think you need to do. This really ties a lot of the last episodes that we've done together because we always think about what is your thought process? What is your thought on how you should move forward? What is your thought on how you should be successful? What is your thought on how you should be positive around people? What's your thought on any number one of the issues? Maybe you have a goal. Maybe you have aspirations. You want to go do something. Maybe you want to be an artist. Maybe you want to go out and you want to be an AI tech. I don't know what that is, what your thing is, but you don't need permission from anybody to go and do that. Now, well, if you're still 17, 18 years old, you're still living with your parents, yes, you still need permission. But for a majority of us, as we get it out on our own, we start making decisions on our own, we really become an adult. You don't have to have permission to go do the things that you think you need to do to be successful. Yeah, of course, there's some limits and laws to that in some areas, but for the most part, you don't have to have permission to do it. We go back, we think about that elephant. They feel a little bit of resistance and they just stop. That happens to a lot of us. We think, man, we're so gung-ho. We want to go do this. Oh, but maybe I should talk to the people around me. Maybe I should really get clarity on this. Maybe I should really make sure that I've got permission from so-and-so to go do this. You don't need to get that. So you do not need to get that positive feedback or that whatever it is from the person you're looking at. Do it yourself. Figure out what your mindset is. Realize that if you feel a little bit of tension, if you feel a little bit of resistance, it doesn't mean that you can't go forward with something. What that means is that you're doing something right. It means you're doing something that you're going against the grain. You're doing something that a lot of people haven't done before. So really, there's not a guideline. There's not something that's stated like, hey, here's how you go and do it. If you're doing something through your own thought process, you have to go do it your own thought process. It means you have to make the mistakes. It means that you're going to have to go against the grain a little bit. It means that there are going to be ups, there are going to be downs, there's going to be trials, there's going to be tribulations. You're going to feel resistance. But realize that resistance that you're feeling, you don't know how big that resistance is until you actually maximize it or until you just push a little bit. All it takes sometime for that elephant, just pull the stake out of the ground, lift your head up, then start going. That's how we got to start thinking about all these situations now is like, I don't need permission to go do this anymore. I don't need to look for validation from the people around me. Now, again, as I've stated multiple other times, there's times where we have to look at the wisdom of the people around us to realize like, okay, these people have done this before. I'm getting advice, I'm getting feedback, but that becomes part of our thought process when we make decisions. It doesn't become our decision. It becomes part of our thought processes in making decisions. Okay, this person has told me that. I understand that. I put that in my thought process now. Okay, someone else is telling me this. Okay, I'm taking all of these in the decisions that I'm taking to move forward. They're not becoming my decisions. They're simply things that I'm taking into account when I make my decisions. That's what makes us better. We feel resistance. We need to keep going. I said this a little bit in the last episode, but when I feel the resistance is when I mainly push forward because I've thought through things so much. I've thought through situations so much that I've realized to myself, you know what? I just got to go with the situation. I can't just get the resistance from the situation and realize, I can't go anymore. I have to actually push through it. and feel, what is this resistance? What is it going to be? And sometimes we get through and push them, like we realize people just stopped. We see the memes a lot of times on social media. And then maybe the coal miner, this is the one that I see all the time, the coal miner who's digging through, he's actually starting to dig his tunnel underneath ground, and he finds, says, I'm going to give up, and it shows an outside view of him, and he's this far away from diamonds or whatever it is that he's mining, right? It's that because he just stopped a little bit too soon. He was feeling the resistance, and he didn't realize, what, there was just a couple more pumps I had to do to get to where I wanted to be. That's what a lot of us do now, is we don't have the situations we had to go through in life where it was like, what, I had to go through a little bit of trial, a little bit of tribulations before, and really get the understanding and feeling of what it felt like to have to push through and succeed. You don't have to have the permission to do those things. Sometimes the permission that we're seeking are from people who don't have the experience of the things that we want to do. They don't have the visions of the thing we want to do. Go out and seek them. Go out and do them yourself. We think, okay, go prove the people wrong. A lot of times the resistance that we feel is social settings that we're in. I know a lot of times I repeat myself on things, but you can start to see a little bit of a trend here. A lot of things go together. Positive thinking, saying yes, not the resistance. Like all of these things really have to go with positive mindsets. But a lot of times the situations that we're in, those elephants that are standing around outside the circus, there's other elephants with them. So a lot of times I start to think to myself, like, man, they're probably looking at the other elephants. They're all there, so maybe they should be there too. Maybe there's one that was like, you know what, I can just do a little pull here. Maybe they did and they got loose, but then they realized, someone comes back in and puts the stake back in, right? So you're kind of grounded to where you are. And the people around you a lot of times don't want to see you get out of that bubble. I mean, have you ever had a best friend that's moved away? Or somebody who you've really liked that maybe you've worked with or has been somewhat close to you, and then they move away, like, gosh, you just feel almost abandoned by that person. But really, they're going out, they're trying to be more successful, they're trying to do things. Maybe their job moved them, maybe they had to move back home for a family matter, what it is, but it kind of makes you feel like, they left. So the people we're looking for validation from, and a lot of times that are giving us the resistance that we're feeling like we need to ask permission from, sometimes they want us in those situations. Okay, but if it's not the situation for you, there's a break that has to happen. I mean, think about this even in relationships. I mean, the relationship situation, sometimes we just stay in these relationships when you're back in your dating times, like, man, I'm just with this person, we've just spent so much time together, we just got to stay together. Do you? And that's why you're in that dating situation, because you're trying to figure that out. So not to take it full on a dating, but those are the types of situations that we're talking about here, is just because you're in something, just because you feel a little bit of resistance, go against the grain. Yes, sometimes there's a little bit of pain that has to happen right off the bat, but just go with it. Figure out what you have to do success for yourself, to have success for yourself. Don't seek permission from other people. Realize what it is and do it. I talked about this a lot on a business side, but do things in parallel. You're really feeling like you want to go do something, so maybe be in the situation you are, but do something in parallel on the side. Figure out what makes me happy. Okay, maybe I'm doing this now, but it doesn't really make me happy. I really want to go do this. Go do it. Don't look for validation and permission from those around you. Just go do the thing. Do it in a side situation. And you realize, man, I could really go do this. Then go do it. You have the thought process. Don't seek permission from the people who don't have the same thought process as you do. Maybe they're not in the same situation. Maybe they're at a completely different stage in life. Maybe they're thinking about things completely different. You can't base your decisions off of somebody else on how they think. Take it, understand it, make sure you understand where they're coming from, make sure you're able to dissect that and really figure out, okay, this is why they're coming from that situation. Make sure it's not applicable to you. Make sure it's something that maybe that person's been through that you could really learn from. Don't turn a blind eye to that. But at the same time, realize that situations that arise, a lot of the times we want to go forward, we want to do these things, but we seek permission from those around us. We don't have to do that. I've been watching Squid Games here just recently, and you watch Squid Games and everyone's in this competitive thing together, and these people are all trying to figure out, how can I just be friends with everybody? Look, at the end of the day, at some point, you have to cut it. At some point, you're not going to be able to end there with all friends. You have to figure out how to play the game. And I say that to say this, is that you look for validation from those around you, but you got to realize those people are also trying to play the game as well. So you have to realize that you have to do what you think you should do. That's the same thing that goes on with life. Make sure you know who you're seeking permission from, why you're seeking permission from. Is it an emotional thing, or do you really have a true set on where you think you need to go? And if you do have that true set and you've taken everything around you, you've really dissected it, realized why people were saying things, you were true to yourself, it's time for you to just lift up, pull the stake out of the ground. Don't be that elephant that's stuck there just because everybody else is doing it. Be the person that goes against the grain, does something on your own. Hope you guys are able to take something from today. I really love this topic. This is one that is very, very, very truthful in a lot of situations that you come across in life. Go against the grain. Doesn't hurt. If you were, please hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, stay sharp and stay resilient.